Hi, I'm John from TheRingLord.com, and today we're making double half Persian. Now, as a prerequisite, you need to be able to make single half Persian, or Persian 3-in-1. I'm starting with a piece of that, which is made out of, in this case, 12 gauge half-inch. And for our rings that we're using to do the double portion, they are the same diameter, a half-inch, but one size smaller wire. So this is a 14 gauge half-inch. In general, you're going to be using a fairly high aspect ratio ring. For example, you can use this 14 1/2, 16 gauge, 7/16, 18 gauge, 3/8, all good sizes for double half Persian. So starting with a piece of half Persian 3-in-1 that doesn't have the extra dangling ring on the end. We then just add what would be that extra dangling ring on the end in our lighter wire, and then we're going to flip it over and add a matching ring on the other side of our red ring. So now we have a piece of half Persian 3-in-1 with two silver rings hanging off the end, separated by this ring. Now, next step, let's see, we're just going through the last two rings that we added, and then the same general fold back motion as you have in the Persian 3-in-1, where you're folding back and going pretty much the same as you would do in standard half Persian. And again, we're going to do the same thing except on the other side. And so at this point, it's a little hard to hold it to show you exactly what's going on. And this is not a particularly popular weave, and not one of the easiest to learn, but also not particularly bad. Okay, so going through the last two silver rings, folding back, and same as the last step, but on basically the other side. And as soon as the double half Persian stabilizes, it might be a little bit easier to see what I'm doing. Okay, so that was sort of the transition step. And from what I found it was pretty much impossible to start double half Persian, but very easy to transition from single. Okay, so in this case, just going to put our two hanging rings that are just going to go through the previous sets, and not through the two that are closest to you, but through the two that are sort of two back, just right there. And now we're going to do the same thing, but instead of being between these two rings, like this one was, we're going to do it on one side. And yes, it matters which side. We'll come back to that. Okay, and now we're coming up to the trickiest part, which isn't horrible, but okay. So now we're going to through these last two rings, And, okay, good luck seeing this for the first time. So we're folding back and going through a whole pile of rings. Try to get a nice white background here. So I went through the last two, folding back, and you're going right through the center of everything. So I go through 3 rings in total at this step. I think it'll be 4 rings once we're a little bit longer. And then you're doing a parallel ring to that last set, but let's see, try to get it. Let me see what I'm doing here. Okay, there we go. But this set, we're just, oh, I made a mistake in that last one. Yes, we should have been going through 4 rings. There we go. Looking better. Okay, and now this next ring runs parallel to the previous ring, but on the other side of one of the rings. In this case, we're only going through 2 rings. The last one was sort of through 4, sort of. So this case, we're just going through the last 2. This step is almost the same as in a standard half Persian. Through the 2 furthest rings, fold back through these 2. And now we're starting to get a section of double half Persian. And what double half Persian is, it's 2 half Persian weaves that are interwoven. So it's not like Kingsmail being double 4-in-1. It's more like 6-in-1, but like Euro 6-in-1 being double Euro 4-in-1. Okay, so just repeating. So this is the first step here, going through these 2 rings. So not through the 2 that are closest, but through the inner set. Now we're going to show you which side. So in this case, there's 2 possible spots to put this ring that are almost right, but one of them is almost right and one of them actually is right. So if we see from the top here, you can see that so that's one of the possible spots. That happens to be the right spot. See how all of these rings, 1, 2, 3, 4, are all nicely lined up. So that's the correct side. The incorrect side would be here, where you have ring on the top and then ring on the bottom. So going through these 2 rings. And through the outside 2, grab it about halfway there, through the outside 2, folding back and going through. Now you're actually only going through 2 rings, it's just you're also sort of going around 2 rings, 2 other rings. So it's and then again this next step here has to go on the right side. So we could go this way. That would be the right side. Or we could go this way. This would be the wrong side. Uh-oh. Nope, this would be the wrong side. And it's a really easy mistake to make. So good lesson there. You're always wanting to check to make sure that your rings that are more or less in the same row are laying one on top of each other. So that would be the right side. This is a chain that if you're watching TV and you're going away, expect to look down and found that you reversed the direction of your chain. It happens. Okay, one last time. Through the center. In that case, there's only one center. Can't get that one wrong. And then find the side such that things line up properly, which is this side. And then through the last two, choke up on my ring, and right through the middle. So that is through this guy. Well, see, in this case, I'm not actually going through these two rings. I'm just going parallel to these two rings. Then I'm actually going through these two rings that are perpendicular to the camera. And then on the other side, if I just flip it around, I'm coming out also parallel to those two rings. So I didn't actually go through those two rings that I'm closest to. And then figure out which side we're going on. Just go through those last two. And am I going this side? No. Am I going this side? Yes. I normally do that step with trial and error. I just go to the closest side and I look at it and just sort of line things up and decide, nope, wrong side. Or yes, right side. Yeah. And there we have it.